moment in defeat, the FA Cup dream is over for Eastleigh. Released from prison, Eastleigh's naked rambler faces the future.
That's what life's about, isn't it? Stretching and expanding. That's what it is to be alive.
And the experts' top tips on how to soothe dry skin this winter.
Happy New Year, everyone. Good to be able to critique your work again. This is a really nice start, actually. I'm very pleased you led on Eastleigh. That's a nice tease. The second one, it's a bit frightening to see a bum in the tease, but I think we can get away with it. And this is a really good, cheeky little start as well. So far it's set up very nicely.
Good evening and welcome to Winchester News Online. I'm Victoria Wang. It's the football story that's gripped the country, but for Eastleigh Football Club, the road to Wembley came to an abrupt end last night.
I'm not quite sure it gripped the country. It was nice sentimental stuff at the FA Cup. Excuse me. What I would also say is, Victoria, I think you've got a fantastic voice. It carries you through. I think when I'm in next week, I just want to talk to you about the way you can see at the beginning of your sentence that your shoulders go up. It's your breathing. So I'll help you with your breathing. But I think the way you've read this bulletin is fantastic, because I don't know if it's the first time you've done it, but I think it's a terrific effort. And I've said before, you've got this great voice to be able to carry news, features, whatever it might be. So I think there's a really impressive side to you there. And if I can just help you with your breathing, and you being natural, a bit more natural in studio, it's great. Anyway, back to this really good story that leads us off.
Despite taking the lead against Bolton Wanderers amid wild scenes, the Spitfires crashed to a narrow 3-2 defeat, exiting the FA Cup at the third round. Matt Wilson joined the 500 fans on the long trip up north.
It's the biggest night in the club's history as Eastleigh faced Bolton in their FA Cup clash at the Macron Stadium. Before the journey, we caught up with one man on a mission.
Of course, we're excited more than anything.
You see, this is brilliant. You have got a sit down with the manager of this club. What isn't good is this, and there are two or three actually of these today. So we've spelt Chris Todd's name wrong, which is very unfortunate. And that should be checked before we go out. We should be looking at VTs and checking these packages that we don't make these errors. What is good though is the fact that you've sat down, you've got a one-to-one, it's close, it feels very personal, and it's a great way to start this story.
The lads have trained really well this week, and we're looking forward to the challenge ahead, really. One thing's for sure, we'll be ready for tonight, and it's going to be a very difficult match, we understand that, but we're looking forward to it.
See, these are really good shots as well. This is, the simple things of putting kit on the bus. It shows that you are there. I presume this is at the Silver Lake. You're on your way. It's a good start.
It's amazing. It's amazing for everybody involved in the football club. To achieve what we have achieved, to get to the third round was massive. Then to get a replay against Bolton and go to the Macron is special for everybody. And we're really looking forward to it, and I know the fans are as well. And it should be a great occasion for everybody involved.
Despite a gap of three...
Just stop there, because I think these pictures feel mute to me. I mean, it may have been very quiet, but I can't hear anything. So you should have a low bit of natural sound under this.
Between the sides, the fans shared the manager's optimism.
2-1 Eastleigh, I reckon.
Yeah. Right, fancy what? 2-1 for us?
1-1 draw, extra time, penalties.
I mean, those are brilliant. One slight critique. They're good because they're all short. Bang, bang, bang. Disappointing, they're all facing the same way. So make sure when you do your vox pops, you mix up which side of the camera you are on, so they are looking either camera left or camera right. All those, they're looking camera left.
The fans' high hopes carried through the journey and into the stadium, and the players looked ready to go when it came to kick-off.
Now, I just wonder, because what you've got is special access to be on this coach, that it might have been better to develop a little bit of that part of the story, because then you can show your access. Because we haven't got the game, that's what your story is all about. So I think we needed to develop that part of the journey and do some interviews there.
Eastleigh took an incredible lead just 11 minutes in, and the fans went wild.
See, these are great shots. These are really, really good, and you should actually get permission to be shooting inside there. But ultimately, you're not showing anything too contentious. You're not showing anything of the pitch. So I think you can just get away with this.
Though the gap between the sides eventually proved too much for the Spitfires, they can still take pride from being the last non-league side in the competition.
Now, for me, that all ends a bit too abruptly. It's suddenly, we build up, we celebrate we're having a goal, and then the story's all over. They lost. Now, that may be actually what happened, because the story sort of disappears. But actually, there was far more drama than that. The fact that it was 2-2, and it's almost like, oh, I've run out of time, or I've run out of ideas. So unfortunately, it ends rather disappointingly, because it's, finished too soon.
Matt Wilson, who produced that report, joined me in the studio earlier. So Matt, what was the...
That's a pretty nasty edit. Unfortunately, what I would do is trying to come to Matt on a single rather than come to this two-shot, because then it just looks like a horrible jump cut.
Like last night.
The atmosphere was amazing. I mean, I was at the game, and the fans were incredible. They did not stop singing throughout the whole game. Eastleigh almost looked like they could have won it.
So how are the
And is that an edit? Because that doesn't look very nice.
players feeling right now?
They'll probably be disappointed, but I'm sure they'll hold their heads high. It's the furthest they've ever been in the FA Cup. They got to the third round. And, Chris Todd, the Eastleigh manager, said he wanted to make a memory of this competition, and I think they've done that.
I think that is really clear-cut, good studio technique. 3 or 4 points coming out very clearly.
Fantastic. So what's the next step?
The next step for Eastleigh will be the league. They're currently 5th in the league, just in the playoff places. And they've got Bournemouth on Saturday, so they'll be hoping to win that game and push forward.
Right, thank you very much, Matt.
Thank you.
And after that, I think we need to cut this in quicker, because we get that slightly uncomfortable moment of what do we do? Do we look at each other? Do we look at the camera? What is it?
Now in other news, winter at last arrived today, with the frosty weather biting back at Winchester residents and threatening transport delays. A very chilly Mark Bet was at Winchester train station for us.
Morning commuters were braving the freezing temperatures.
Sound a bit dodgy there, and I don't know if because my picture is stretched here, but the light is not very well balanced either.
As the winter weather sets in, Winchester residents are having to wrap up warm. The Met Office has issued a yellow weather warning for Hampshire, as the freezing temperatures could produce frost and ice on roads and pavements. Although there is no snow expected, precaution should still be made.
Well, while we may well have salted roads, that doesn't mean necessarily the pavements won't be salted. So pedestrians need to be very, very careful when it's icy, as do, particularly cold snaps, as do drivers. Road safety is something that we give the highest priority to, and we will spend what we need to spend to keep the travelling public as safe as we can.
As the cold spell continues, even those with fur have to don their winter jackets. Well, I've just spoken to a representative of South West Trains who says there are already delays of up to 10 minutes. Passengers travelling western bound, such as places as Portsmouth and Exeter, may face lighter delays. The advice is to plan your journey and check your routes before you travel, and always be prepared for larger delays as this weather continues.
As the cold weather...
Okay, I mean, it's a bit of something of nothing story that, look, there's a little bit of frost, and we always get into a bit of a panic about it. I think you've done it okay. It's nice that you've given us a bit of travel information in there as well, but here comes a bit of frost is no great shakes. We've been having a few winters for a few years now.
Forces people to put on extra layers, One person notorious for his lack of clothes is Stephen Goff, otherwise known as the Naked Rambler. Having served stints in prison for over 10 years, including spending time in solitary confinement, a judge has now said Goff has served enough time in prison for breaking the terms of an ASBO. Stephen Slominski was there to see him come out.
That is a terrific link. Whoever wrote it is fantastic. The way you've linked it with the last story and you've explained it. So if it was you, Stephen, writing your own link, brilliantly done. That is as near perfect as you'll get. It has explained the backstory, it's linked it to the previous story, and it's thrown it forward to what's happening today to show that it is a news story. So very well done.
Despite the freezing cold, Goff strode out of prison as naked as when he went in. He had been expecting to be arrested at the gates, but with no police in sight, he was driven away by friends to a countryside location.
It was a really good, and it was a nice opening line. It was well put together. Thank goodness we got a bit of pixelation in there. Yeah, really good. And top hat, actually, Stephen.
Always choose to be naked, and so he put on some warm clothing before telling me what he thought of the judge's decision.
He did stick his neck out, but and so, I have a warm feeling towards him, and yet I want everything. I want to be able to stand in front of a jury naked. I was asking a lot, but I am asking a lot. What I'm doing is asking a lot of people. Is people to really open their minds in a big way for a lot of people, and I understand it's asking a lot. We need to really stretch ourselves. That's what it's about, stretching ourselves. To be free, you need to stretch. To be tolerant, you need to stretch yourself. I understand it's difficult. I understand it asks people to come out of their, comfort zones in that, but, that's what life's about, isn't it? Stretching and expanding, and that's what it is to be alive.
Well, he may be free for now, but the ASBO is still in force, and there could be trouble ahead the next time the Naked Rambler decides to hit the road. This is Stephen Slominski reporting for Winchester News Online.
I mean, it's nicely done, Stephen, because it's it's a difficult package to do, and there isn't much to it. He is just one of England's real eccentrics, but I think you've done it nicely. That's a lovely shot going out there. I think we've said as a payoff before, I just have it Stephen Slominski, Winchester News Online. Not this is reporting for or anything like that. Please try and keep it as simple as possible so your SOQ is standard with everybody. It's a standard out queue. I liked it. He's just an interesting madman that you can you get occasionally as a little piece of underlay on a national news bulletin. It's actually nice that you can do a little bit more with him on a sort of regional package. So well done.
Earlier today, the Department of Work and Pensions released this month's unemployment figures, which show that unemployment in Winchester has fallen to a record low. Our business reporter Rachel Gunter spoke to the DWP and is making sense of the numbers.
I don't know if you, in your first sentence, you need to say the Department of Work and Pensions or the DWP, just to make sure people understand what the DWP is in the second half of that link. But this is a good story. It's always quite interesting with Winchester, which is clearly pretty affluent and very little unemployment. But this is a really good sort of newsroom debrief coming up.
Well, unemployment figures are always very important. They give us a good indicator as to how our economy is doing, and they are always in the minds of our politicians. Nearly 82% of working people in Winchester are now in work, which is higher than surrounding areas and the national average of 74%. There's been a dramatic fall in unemployment since 2010, 60% overall, and a 76% decrease in youth unemployment. But the devil, of course, is in the detail. Critics say that people have been left out of these figures. In Winchester, 2,500 people weren't included because they weren't claiming any benefits. Speaking to the Department of Work and Pensions this morning, they said that they can't be certain why these people aren't receiving any benefits, whether it's a personal choice or whether they simply have applied and been denied access because of the sanctions that come along with it. But these people are included in our true employment figures, which means that we can still take a massive positive from today. With thousands of students graduating in just a few months, they'll be hoping that these figures continue to be this low.
I mean, that is a phenomenal piece of information that you have just imparted to us in a very competent and confident way. Now, I presume you were reading an autocue, that we had a mobile autocue that you're reading. If not, and you've done that off the top of your head, then that is unbelievable, and it looks like you've been doing the job for 20 years. But just the way you've presented that, even if you are reading it, with the variation of facts, with the contrast, with just telling us what the DWP said, I think it's a really terrific debrief, and you should be applauded for doing that. And whoever wrote it, if you wrote it with the help of someone or whoever, it's well balanced, and it's got all the necessary information, and then you reflect it towards the student population at the end. So really well done.
Thank you, Rachel. Coming up.
And that is so simple, just to say thank you, Rachel, with a smile. It works. It just means that you understand it's not clunky and it looks like everything's been put in stages and edited in. It feels like there's a warmth to the programme.
Cold, cracked skin? What are the best ways to keep your skin moisturized in this weather?
For a great makeup base.
And cut out the junk food with these healthy alternatives to vending machine snacks. But first, how exactly free is free speech?
It would be nice if we'd stopped and recorded this again. I know you struggle with this throughout this link, and we should have worked on your hair and done it again.
The campaign group has ranked the University of Winchester as the university with the most freedom of speech. The group called Spiked released the figures on Monday, and our reporter John Morrison went to find his voice at the university's debating society.
Good link, good story, and amazing that we are a number one. And maybe it's worth, this might be worth getting higher up the bulletin as we are a national number one.
Going with the question, is university...
Freedom of speech in action. The students of the University of Winchester Debating Society gather to debate the emotive subject of terrorism. In many universities, you have to be very careful about what you can and can't say on a topic like this, according to new data released by Spiked magazine. The data shows a certain...
I wonder if you have to explain what this says on the left. I'm trying to read it because there's so much information, and trying to compare 2015 to 2016, and there's an awful lot, and then we bring in this new information. It all looks very clear, but it's quite difficult to take in because there is so much information.
Efforts to curb the freedom of speech over the past year by many universities. These methods include banning newspapers, songs, and controversial clubs and societies.
You can't really pursue truth, pursue knowledge, contest ideas if there's certain things you're not allowed to say, certain talks you're not allowed.
Unfortunately here, if we look at how do we spell magazine, I'm presuming Spiked magazine actually does have a second A in it there.
Certain ideas that are just going to put off the table.
Winchester Student Union has welcomed these figures.
I think freedom of speech is incredibly important at the university.
And here as well. He is not a diversity officer, or he's very diverse if he spells his title like that.
See, what's more important than actually being able to express in the way that you feel is necessary your opinion.
By all means have these speakers, because if they come here and people don't want to hear them speak, just don't go. It's very simple.
As you can see, the controversial debating is continuing to flourish here at Winchester University. John Morrison, Winchester News Online.
Yeah, I wonder, John, actually would be talking to the students there to get a feel of how free their speech is, and what it feels like, if they've experienced any curbs or anything, or it's how you as a student feel, and does the title of being the most free university in the country feel justified to its students? So I think that might be a line you could have taken as well.
Just as farmers' market has been a fixture of this city since the Middle Ages, but now the council has started talks likely to move it to a different location. Alice Rose has more.
Yeah, this is interesting because this is a very good local story which would affect lots of people, and I wonder whether this is a more worthy story than actually a frost.
Despite the cold weather, shoppers were flocking to Winchester's market as they have done for many years. But this could change soon, as the City Council have begun talks over moving the market to a new location.
I think that is your only shot of the market in situ. And if you reverse your camera and look up the street, I think there are a whole load more little stalls out. So I think while you've got a range of shots, they seem to be very, very tight. And I think you needed more shots in this package of where the market is at the moment.
So Stephen Godfrey has said that the prospect of moving the market will improve the current state of the city centre.
Winchester City has been very successful in promoting it as a place to visit.
He's a little bit central here. I suggest you'd have him a bit more over here. Okay, remember your rule of thirds. It's fine this way, that's fine. Enough headroom, that's okay. I just have a little bit more space here and move him over here.
And we want to make sure that we don't keep the same old, because that'll just distract people from why they want to come to Winchester. It's a special place with lots of really exciting shops and attractions. So we need to keep it fresh.
But market stall owners fear that moving the market may affect how much they sell.
And on this, again, this sounds really, really quiet. I don't know if you just need to pump up your the natural sound underneath this. Shouldn't be mute, even if it's very quiet. We should just be able to hear something.
There's always a lot of interest amongst people visiting Winchester, the locals or tourists. So I would say it's very successful. I mean, this is quite a prime location. So it does all depend on where it moves to as to how successful it would be.
That sound was a little bit dodgy as well, but nice to talk to him. He says some really important things, and there's a really good outline here, so well done.
Further talks will go ahead in the upcoming months to determine the future of Winchester's market. The traders should get a chance to set out their stalls in more ways than one. Alice Rose, Winchester News Online.
Yeah, it's a really nice ending, a good range of shots here. I just think we needed to see more of the market stalls and where they are. You need to say they're here in the market, and where are they planning to move them? How would it affect them?
Some Winchester business leaders have expressed concern that the growing number of restaurant chains in the city may undermine some older independent restaurant businesses. Natasha Hunt reports.
It is Emily Cotterell's job to worry about the health of Winchester's local economy. She works for Winchester Business Improvement District. In the news again over the restaurant trade. And it has.
I think when you introduce both of the people you've interviewed in this package, we don't get to see their face. So you do mention their name, but we see the back. I think we see the back of their head or their backs in both of them. It helps to see their face. If you're going to talk about somebody by their name, let's get, rather than just a walking shot, let's get her doing her job. Let's get her doing something about her job, rather than you as a two-shot walking in and all we're seeing is actually the back of your heads.
Got to the point probably where we're maybe at a saturation point. I don't think we can support much more in terms of the restaurant sector.
It's not just that there may be too many restaurants. She worries that the city could lose smaller independent businesses.
But at the same time, I think the independent restaurants in Winchester do offer something very special, and local people do, I think, want to go out to somewhere that is different.
Naomi Beamish, co-owner of Forte Kitchen.
You see, well, we've got her elbow, actually. We haven't even got her back. We've got elbow, hand, and her doing a bit. But what you could do is have a shot of her face doing this and then have that as your second shot. But we don't actually see her until you interview her.
High Street, exactly one of the businesses that Winchester Bid are trying to protect. She takes a balanced view of the problem.
Yeah, there's more of a personality to independent businesses usually than a chain. I mean, not always, but usually. Independent restaurants usually have to compete quite hard with a chain, so they'll put everything into the business.
That's a good interview. And actually, having seen the shots again, it's probably not her doing the work because there's a lady with dark hair. She's got blonde hair. But if you're going to talk about her, we need to see her face. It's not radio where you can do that sort of lead in into your grab. In TV, we have to see their face. And we don't necessarily need to mention their name because that's why we have a caption to go across the bottom of the screen.
But the larger restaurants claim that they offer great value and more choice, and they are certainly popular with this local market trader.
I think it's good for the city. The reason why is brings the quality and also competitive prices as well for the consumers, for the people of the area.
And rather than say this market trader, you can say some market traders. Just make it more generic. It's a slightly more sophisticated way of doing things.
Winchester. So I really think it's good to have more restaurants.
Can the smaller independent businesses survive the competition, or is it time to hang up their apron strings? Natasha Hunt, Winchester News Online.
Natasha, it's okay. I think you're desperate to get that piece to camera over with. So I think what you need to do is just own it a little bit more because you look good on camera, you've got presence. It's a little bit vague, your walk, but I like the fact there's a little bit of movement. So rather than just sort of burst your way through it and wait for the end, just see if you can slow it down a little bit and own it a little bit more, and then have a little pause, and then you'll pay off.
And now, Laura Harding will take us through some of the highlights of winol's fashion and lifestyle features this week.
Hello and welcome to a very cold Winchester.
I'm getting the impression that the temperatures have dropped because it is a theme going through this week's bulletin, and I totally understand that as it had been so mild in December, when it suddenly gets cold, then everyone is talking about it, and that is why it has got to go through the bulletin. Whether it's over-egging it a bit or not, I don't know, but clearly when we're talking about health issues, then this moisturiser feature works.
As I'm sure you've noticed, the temperatures have absolutely plummeted this week. Thankfully for us, our beauty expert Ellie MacDonald has reviewed the best 5 moisturisers to keep your skin soft and supple this winter. With temperatures dropping all over the UK, your skin is sure to feel the chill factor.
I like this style of you doing it as a close-up thing. I know it's all over YouTube, the way people are doing their own things, but I think this is a really good standalone package.
Whether it's your face or your body, I've got my top 5 moisturisers at the ready. The Baylis & Harding Sweet Mandarin and Grapefruit Body Butter is part of their £20 weekend gift bag set. It's truly indulgent, leaving your skin soft and nourished, but not at all greasy. Its scent is sweet and subtle, perfect to use to keep your skin hydrated after a relaxing bubble bath. B is for Beautiful is one of my favourite budget skincare brands. The $9.99 moisture gel from their Phase 1 skincare range is a lovely hydrating moisturiser. Drench your skin in this before applying primer for a great makeup base that keeps your face hydrated all day. Here's one for the men, Bulldog's Original Face Moisturiser. At around £6, this men's moisturiser contains 8 essential oils. Claiming to be man's best friend, Bulldog is the perfect brand to keep your skin smooth and ready for the ladies. This one for £8 is the Coconut Milk Spray Lotion. Not only does this smell gorgeous enough to take you away from January blues, but it's lightweight and easily absorbs into your skin. My final product in my top 5 moisturisers is this one from San Francisco Benefit. It's the triple performing SPF 15 moisturiser, which protects and comforts your dry skin for £22.50. The oil-free formula means you don't need to worry about shiny skin, so you can keep your face protected from the sun all year round. Now you know which moisturisers will keep your skin hydrated during this cold spell. Head over to www.winol.co.uk for more beauty, features and award-winning news.
It's really nice, as I say, a self-contained package. I think you've got information. I think it's got a bit of style to it. I think the choice of music for each of the moisturisers is interesting. And I'd like to understand why you've chosen the selected track for each one, because it obviously says something about what you feel about the moisturiser itself, but it's good to have a guy's one in there as well. There is a range of prices, a range of ingredients, as it were, for each of the moisturisers. So it's a nice standalone 2 or 3 minutes, which works well.
This cold, all I can think about is curling up in the warm and scoffing chocolates. But unhealthy cravings like this could soon become an expense to our wallets. Thankfully, our health reporters, Lauren Clark and Letty Buxton, have come up with some delicious alternatives to help us out.
Are you finding yourself taking a trip to the vending machine a little too often? Why not try these healthier alternatives to beat those cravings? That's
a nice start. It's a good question to ask of your viewer.
Blend together 150 grams of hazelnuts, 150 grams of medjool dates, 50 grams of raw cacao powder and 3 tablespoons of coconut oil. Put the mixture into a lined baking tray. Freeze for half an hour. Remove from the freezer and get your chocolatey fix.
That's quite nice. That's nicely done and very simple, and I suppose there's a little bit of health in there with a bit of coconut. Dates.
Begin by preheating the oven to 200 degrees. Peel the sweet potato and parsnip and chop diagonally into thin pieces. Cover in olive oil, paprika, salt and pepper. Put this onto a baking tray as an even layer and put into the oven. Cook until crisp. Remove, let them cool and enjoy.
I like this actually. I mean, this is nice, plain but stylised. So it's a good mix.
And finally, this quick and tasty alternative to those fizzy drinks. Chop 1 lemon and 1 lime. Simply add to a cold glass of water and rehydrate.
That, just to have that at the end, I mean, it's too quick a flash. If you're going to put the music on, I think you just have to put it as a lower third graphic over it, rather than just a flash frame like that.
For versions of all of these videos and more award-winning news and features, head over to winol.co.uk. Back to the studio.
Thank you, Laura. That's all from us, and despite an agonising defeat and the long trip back from Lancashire, we leave you with the Eastleigh fans still cheering well into the early hours. It will be remembered for a long time, but we will be back with all the local news, sport and features next week.
See, I think this is a really nice way to end it. You're making the use of your shots. It's just good thinking. And I think, Victoria, you've done a really good job of presenting. Just a few tweaks and we'll make you a really, really good presenter. But I think you've got so much confidence, and as I say, your voice is there. I think, Ross, if you've shaped the running order of this programme, it needs, I think, probably a little bit of tweaking. But there's a good blend. And Laura, you've done well presenting yours. And it's a nice self-contained package now that the features are coming into our news bulletin. So all in all, it's not a bad bulletin to start off the year.